As we continue our Together We Rebuild campaign, our question of the month for our network as well as our show is, how do you evangelize? Let's find out how people responded to Encounter's question of the month.
Quietly. St. Francis used to say, preach always, even if you have to use words. And that's what I try to do. By example.
One of the ways that I try to do it is that in the mornings when I get coffee, I go to Starbucks, and I generally walk in and I will greet a stranger by saying, good morning, how are you? How you doing? And sometimes that startles them because they're not used to having perfect strangers acknowledge them or say hello to them. But I think whatever they might think, they'll think that the person that is greeting them is joyous, and maybe they might think, well, where does that joy come from? And hopefully they might think that that guy's got something going on that I don't have, and they might even think that maybe it's God. I think that's how I try to personally evangelize each and every day to people that I meet, just to be happy, to exude a sense of excitement about being alive, about just experiencing life to its fullest.
Probably not as much as I should, really. I think that we've all been brought up, particularly those of us who've had the nuns, that good example is doing it. So, I mean, I'm involved in a lot of, projects within this parish, but I'm not out there, I think, doing evangelization as much as I would want to.
We must evangelize through love. Our culture doesn't get very much of what we have to say at this point, but it still understands love, and that's what we've got to focus on.
I think the best way is with your example. If you do things, quietly, I think people notice it and say, well, why? Oh, it must be their beliefs.
I think the most important way that we have to remember to share the gospel comes to us from a story of St. Francis when he was going out to evangelize, and one of his mentees said, I want to go with you to evangelize. And Francis took him. They walked straight through the city from one side and out the other without saying a word. His mentee said, Father Francis, we didn't do anything, to which he gave the young man a line that we all remember, and that is, to preach the gospel, and only if necessary use words, by our thoughts, by our actions, by just being love to one another. That's a form of evangelization that each of us can do without joining an organization, without necessarily building some large operation. To simply be the image and likeness of God and the love of Christ is perhaps the most powerful form of evangelization we can do.
And of course, we'd like to hear from you. If you want to respond or make a comment about our question of the month, you can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/EncounterCTV.